My Yandere childhood friend drugged me unconscious. After one wild night, I died a miserable death in bed. After being reborn, to stop my childhood friend from becoming a Yandere, I taught her core socialist values every night. Just as I secretly rejoiced that she was no longer a Yandere, she quietly hugged me tightly from behind. Big brother, you seem a little naughty today. At that moment, 8-year-old me sat on the couch at home, sighing deeply. A child was crying behind the door across the hall. It was Ruan Yaoxi. It was the 5th time she had been beaten and scolded in just a few days. I had been reborn, back to when I was 8. I glanced at the door across the hall, then solemnly told Mom as she came out of the kitchen, Mom, why do we not move? I feel like there is something unclean in our home. Before I finished, Mom smacked my head. You brat. Do not talk nonsense. All you ever think about is that pleasant goat cartoon. And now you are talking about evil spirits. Every day. It is always something with you. Have you finished your summer homework? As she spoke, she could not help glancing at the door again. She murmured, poor child, such a sweet little girl, beaten every day. I scoffed inwardly. Spare me the pity. Sweet little girl? When she grows up, she will be the death of me. Ruan Yaoxi's family situation was awful. A drunken father. A mother who ran away, leaving only her, shattered. As far back as I could remember, the little girl across the hall had often cried. She was always dirty. So at school, she was often rejected and isolated. The other children mocked her, saying her mother did not want her, that she was an unwanted child. Back then, although Ruan Yaoxi was my neighbor, I never bullied her. But at school, I never took the initiative to approach her either. Thinking of that, I could not help sighing. After all that, how could Ruan Yaoxi possibly like me, and even kidnap me? As I pondered this, Mom sent me out to buy soy sauce. I took the chance to secretly buy a cotton candy with my allowance. The moment I got downstairs, just as I was about to bite into it, I saw Ruan Yaoxi, the pretty little girl. Her face was covered in bruises. Her eyes were red and swollen, and the corner of her mouth was split. She wore long sleeves in summer, and every patch of exposed skin was covered in injuries. The instant I saw her, my body instinctively recoiled in fear. Cold sweat instantly soaked my back. After all, in my past life, she drugged me and had her way with me for a full day and night. Then I died in bed. How could I not be afraid? As if she felt my gaze, she suddenly looked over, expressionless. I met those cold, indifferent eyes. The terror of being at her mercy in my past life was nearly impossible to suppress. My mind went blank, and I slowly held out my hand, offering the huge pink cloud of cotton candy to the little girl. Want some? She froze. The chill in her beautiful eyes hardened, then melted into confusion and uncertainty. At last, the girl before me wore a strangely sweet smile. She held out her scar-covered hand, and, trembling slightly, took the cotton candy from me. Thank you, big brother. Only after she eagerly took a bite did I finally breathe a sigh of relief. I hurried past her, eager to get upstairs. But soon, I heard soft footsteps following behind me. When I turned, I met those bright, wide eyes. When Ruan Yaoxi saw me stop, she offered me the cotton candy in her hand. Big brother, do you want some more? I only had a little. Eat this side. It is not dirty, she said softly, hope in her voice. She looked utterly pitiful. I stared blankly at the sweet, soft little girl before me, unable to understand how she could grow into such a crazed woman. Just as I was about to refuse, footsteps sounded from upstairs. Mom had noticed I had been gone too long, and was coming out to look for me. Then she saw Ruan Yaoxi. At once, she noticed the injuries covering Ruan Yaoxi. A look of pity crossed her face. She smacked my head. Are you trying to get yourself killed? Why are you stealing your little sister's cotton candy? When Ruan Yaoxi saw an adult, she instinctively tried to step back. Seeing this, I hurriedly shouted, hey, there are stairs behind you. But it was too late. Ruan Yaoxi tumbled down the stairs. Mom let out a small cry, then quickly helped her up. Yaoxi, are you okay? Luckily, the stairs were not high, but a child that small was bound to be hurt by the fall. Yet Ruan Yaoxi did not make a sound. After she was helped up, she only stared at the cotton candy, now dirty on the floor, with tears welling in her eyes. The sight broke Mom's heart. She quickly scooped the tiny girl into her arms. How about Annie takes you to see a doctor? Ruan Yaoxi trembled. She seemed terrified. I am not going. I do not have money. They will contact my dad. If dad sees me, he will hit me. Mom fell silent for a moment, then said gently, "It is okay. There is a doctor in Annie's family." Honestly, in my previous life, I lived to be 26, but I had never seen Mom so gentle. Then I saw Ruan Yaoxi in Mom's arms, looking over Mom's shoulder, her eyes fixed on me. I made a face at her. "Stop staring at me. You are scaring me." When I got inside, I immediately pointed at Ruan Yaoxi, sitting on the couch, and explained, "I bought that cotton candy for her. I did not get a single bite." At that, Ruan Yaoxi immediately stood up. Trembling, she apologized softly. "I am sorry. I will not dare eat it again." Mom quickly said in a gentle voice, "Yaoxi, do not be afraid. Annie will not scold you. Your big brother gave it to you, so eat it. It is okay." My feelings were complicated. I had promised myself to stay away from her. So, why had I brought this little psycho home? As I watched Mom tenderly apply medicine to Ruan Yaoxi, I suddenly remembered my past life. Back then, Mom had cautiously asked me, "What if I brought the little girl from across the hall over to play with you?" I had replied with utter disgust, "I do not want to play with her. Nobody at school likes playing with her. If I play with her, the other kids will not talk to me anymore." Thinking back on my childhood self, then looking at Ruan Yaoxi, covered in injuries, who trembled silently as the medicine was applied, I truly deserved to die back then. At first, I had always thought Ruan Yaoxi, and I had no grudge between us. But thinking about it now, as a cold, indifferent bystander, perhaps I was the one who shattered her hopes. No wonder, when she had tied me up, I heard her ask beside the bed, full of confusion, "Why can I not be your little sister? I am so jealous of you. Can I be your wife instead? Then we would be family too." At that thought, I sighed softly. I turned and took out all the snacks I had secretly hidden away. I opened a package and handed it to Ruan Yaoxi. "Have some first. My mom will have dinner ready soon. Her cooking is delicious." But Ruan Yaoxi did not dare take it. She reflexively glanced at Mom. That cautious little manner made my heart ache. Mom shot me a glare, took the snacks from my hand, and placed them in Ruan Yaoxi's hands. "There, eat. It is okay." Then she turned to me. "Xiaosh, come with me." I followed Mom with my head hanging low, certain I was about to get hit. Hopefully, she would not spank me this time. After all, I was 26. But Mom only pulled me into the room. She asked softly, "Xiaosh, do you like having Yaoxi as your little sister?" I froze for a moment. I remembered refusing without hesitation in my past life. If I did not refuse this time, maybe she would not become a Yandere later on. If she did not become one, then I would not have to die. Besides, I was 26 now, watching a little girl get beaten every day. I could not bear it either. So I nodded silently. Mom let out a sigh of relief. She had not expected me to be so understanding. So Mom rewarded me with 10 yuan. Then she took Ruan Yaoxi home to get some clothes. But Ruan Yaoxi thought she was being sent away. Her face turned pale. The look she gave me from the bedroom doorway was complicated. Seeing her keep looking at me, Mom assumed she depended on me. She simply pulled me over. "Yaoxi, do not be afraid. Your big brother and Annie will go with you to get your clothes. Your dad just left, so he probably will not be back soon. Come eat and sleep at Annie's house tonight, okay?" At that, Ruan Yaoxi, her eyes lit up. She carefully reached out and tugged the hem of my shirt. She said softly and earnestly, "Big brother, my hands are not dirty." I looked at her and sighed. "Let us go." When we opened the door, a foul smell hit us. The couch in the living room was crooked. The table was broken, and the television on its stand was covered in cracks. There were bloodstains on the floor, too. I thought of the injuries on Ruan Yaoxi's face. At that moment, the little hand clutching mine suddenly tightened. I thought she was afraid, and was about to turn and comfort her. But I saw her cold expression instead. Her gaze rested on the bloodstains, almost mocking. That expression did not suit someone her age at all. A chill ran through my heart. Could she already be a Yandere? If so, had I brought a wolf into our home? Would I get my parents hurt? Then, I watched Mom take Ruan Yaoxi by the hand and lead her to the balcony to gather her things. She did not have a room. Whenever her father was home, she lived on the balcony. They called it gathering her things, but there was really nothing to gather. Her clothes had long since stopped fitting her. Her mother had bought them when she was 5. Since her mother left, no one had provided those things for her. Mom's heart broke for her. She had thought Ruan Yaoxi always wore long sleeves. to hide the injuries on her body. But it was because her short-sleeved shirts no longer fit. Mom looked at Ruan Yaoxi with aching tenderness. Annie will buy you new ones. You will stay at Annie's house for now. When your dad gets back. At that point, Mom paused. Ruan Yaoxi said obediently, I will come back. And Sue, I will not let him find out. Dad was a doctor. When he came home from work, he treated Ruan Yaoxi's injuries. That child had been beaten almost raw. Thankfully, her bones seemed fine when he checked them. Ruan Yaoxi even comforted Mom then. I know to curl into a ball, so he will not hit my head or bones. Hearing that from an 8-year-old child, even though I was somewhat afraid of her, I could not help but pity her. Mom, whose heart already ached for her, was even more devastated. That night, my chicken drumstick ended up in Ruan Yaoxi's bowl, but Ruan Yaoxi obediently picked up the drumstick and put it back in my bowl. Big brother, you eat. My feelings were incredibly complicated, a mixture of sympathy and fear. However, when Mom said Ruan Yaoxi would sleep with me, every bit of sympathy vanished. I looked at Ruan Yaoxi beside Mom. Mom, boys and girls should not share a bed after 7. We are both 8. It is not appropriate. Mom said helplessly, there are no spare rooms. Tomorrow, your dad and I will buy a bunk bed. Tonight, just make room for your sister. Mom knew this arrangement was not ideal either. I stared wide-eyed and said decisively, then I will sleep with Dad. You two can sleep together. But after saying that, I grew worried again. What if Ruan Yaoxi hurt Mom? She looked weak and small now, but I could not take that risk. Mom was just about to agree when I said, no, she should sleep with me after all. Ruan Yaoxi, come here. Ruan Yaoxi obediently walked over. Looking at me, she said, Big brother, I do not move in my sleep. I said irritably, fine, sleep. Mom, you should go to bed too. Seeing how irritable I was, Mom looked a little worried. She told us to get along and not fight, then left. In the end, Ruan Yaoxi and I each lay on one side of the bed, with a wide gap between us. I planned to stay awake all night, afraid she would kill me once I fell asleep. The person beside me carefully rolled over, and I abruptly rolled away, straight onto the floor. Ruan Yaoxi froze. She hurriedly asked, Big brother, are you okay? I watched her warily. What were you doing just now? My back hurts and feels itchy. So, I wanted to roll over. I stopped moving and looked at her. She bit her lip and carefully glanced toward the door. Lowering her voice, she said, I can sleep on the floor. I used to sleep on the balcony at home too. Big brother, let me sleep on the floor. I looked at the little girl before me. Ruan Yaoxi was very pretty. Thinking about it now, her being bullied at school was probably partly because she was so beautiful. Even with her face covered in injuries, she was still beautiful. I could not help thinking of the injuries on her back and body. Her father had caused everyone with a belt. New wounds overlapped old ones. Some fresh wounds had not been properly treated because of the hot weather and had begun to fester. I tried to tell myself that the Ruan Yaoxi before me and the one from my past life, that unhinged Ruan Yaoxi, were two different people. But I could not convince myself. I sighed. Feeling frustrated, I said, you sleep. I will sleep on the floor. Otherwise, Mom will spank me again tomorrow. But Ruan Yaoxi shook her head. No. If Annie sees it, she will probably think I am bad. Thinking of how cautious she had been since coming to our home, I finally sighed again and climbed onto the bed. I patted the space beside me. Come sleep here. If you do not want to sleep with me. She looked at me with wide, doe-like eyes. Before she could finish, I cut her off. Get up here, quickly. I am sleepy. In the end, the little girl carefully climbed onto the bed. She curled up in a tiny space in the corner. I simply stopped looking at her and rolled over, turning my back to her. I thought I would not be able to sleep, but in less than 10 minutes, I was sprawled out like a starfish, sound asleep. Ruan Yaoxi, on the other hand, lay wide-eyed, too afraid to move. Only when she heard my steady breathing did she carefully shift her body and slowly move closer. Her eyes were filled with complicated emotions as she watched me sleeping. Her face was completely blank. Ruan Yaoxi was full of astonishment. Usually, the moment I saw her, I would turn and leave, never getting close to her. But today, I had not only given her cotton candy, I had even brought her home. She slowly turned her head and looked around the room, her eyes full of affection. Whenever she had been beaten before, she would crouch by the doorway and always hear the lively sounds from my home. Aunt Sue scolding me talking back, and the television playing. But Aunt Sue's scolding was utterly different from the violence-filled beatings and curses in her own home. Ruan Yaoxi often saw the chubby boy across the hall. Even at his age, his father still carried him home on his back. His mother bought him watermelon in summer and roasted sweet potatoes in winter. Though she scolded him, she bought him every good thing. The chubby boy had many friends at school, and everyone liked him. Actually, Ruan Yaoxi liked him too. She remembered him sharing candy with her when they were little, and taking her hand to play in the snow. But after her mother left, everything changed. He and she seemed to live into separate worlds. His life was happy and whole, while she was like a cockroach in the gutter. He was just so happy that one extra glance made her feel warm inside. She could not help thinking how wonderful it would be if she belonged to their family too. She had never imagined she would truly be brought home with them. Thinking of this, Ruan Yaoxi looked at me and softly called, "Big brother." She stretched out a finger covered in scars, wanting to touch my fair, chubby face, but she thought she was too dirty. In the end, she only dared to reach through my clothes and gently poke my little belly. That soft feeling finally brought a hint of a child's delighted, playful smile to her face. Just as she was about to lie back down, I suddenly rolled over, my arms and legs landing heavily on Ruan Yaoxi. At that age, I really was a fair, chubby little boy. Putting my weight on her was no small matter. Ruan Yaoxi could barely breathe, and the wounds on her back throbbed under the pressure. But she did not dare move, afraid I would wake if she did. Just as her face was turning red from holding her breath, I suddenly wrapped my arms tightly around her, as if she were a body pillow. Ruan Yaoxi froze. The last time someone had held her like this while she slept was when her mother was still around. She slowly rested her little head against my chest and softly said to herself, "Good night, big brother." This was a little like the story her mother had once told her about the little match girl. Though this warmth might be brief, she still longed to draw a little closer. The next day, Mom woke me with a slap on the butt. "Jiang Zhe, are you trying to get yourself killed? You nearly squashed your sister flat." I yelped and opened my eyes, only to see Mom cradling Ruan Yaoxi like a precious treasure. I was still dazed, with no idea what had happened, when Ruan Yaoxi earnestly explained, "It is okay, Aunt Sue. Big brother was probably afraid I would get cold." I grumbled inwardly. It was summer break. It was 30 to 40 degrees Celsius every day. Now I was sure that body pillow last night had been Ruan Yaoxi. I watched Mom lift Ruan Yaoxi's shirt to check her back. Mom even shot me a glare first. Ever since Ruan Yaoxi came, I felt I had lost all status in this family. Still, I leaned over for a look. Luckily, I had not rubbed against her wounds much. I breathed a sigh of relief. Then I snapped, "Can't you at least wake me up or push me away?" Instead, she gave me a sweet smile. But when Big Brother held me, I did not have any nightmares. "Thank you, Big Brother." I froze at that. No way. She really was kind of adorable as a child. Even a tough guy like me could not handle that. I really wanted a little sister like this. So how did she change so much later on? After breakfast that day, Mom went shopping with Dad and Ruan Yaoxi. I was left home to catch up on my summer homework. When the three of them returned at noon, Ruan Yaoxi was already wearing new clothes, and her hair had been trimmed. She came over and slipped a candy into my hand. She whispered, "Big brother, I secretly saved this. Aunt Sue and the others do not know." After saying that, she looked at me with those bright, doe-like eyes. Seeing the anticipation in her eyes, "Oh, come on." This tough guy's heart melted. I glanced at my parents, who were in the room discussing how to set up the bed. Then I took the milk candy from her hand, unwrapped it, and quickly popped it into Ruan Yaoxi's mouth. I gave a quiet snort. Only kids like this stuff. The candy wrapper must have been too loud, because Mom suddenly turned to me. "Little Sh, were you sneaking candy again? Do you want to ruin your teeth?" As she spoke, she marched over furiously, but Ruan Yaoxi quickly stepped in front of me. With her mouth full, she mumbled, "Aunt Sue, it was not Big Brother. It was me." Mom paused. Then she looked at me in surprise. "My boy has grown up and does not eat candy anymore." Seeing Mom's astonished face, I said helplessly, "I do not like candy anymore. I am not a kid anymore." Ruan Yaoxi nodded adorably beside me. "Big brother is very good. He does not eat it." Hearing that, I gave that absurdly adorable little psycho a complicated look. Over the next few days, we shared a room and became bunk bed roommates. Mom kept me home to finish my homework. Whenever we were home together those days, Ruan Yaoxi did pretty much anything I told her, without questioning it at all. If Mom came home and found my homework unfinished, I did not even need to make an excuse. Ruan Yaoxi would step in front of me and explain for me. She always began with Aunt Sue. It is all my fault. Whenever Mom saw her like that, her heart melted for the girl. How could she possibly blame her? Still, though she was young, I felt she might be a little too good at playing innocent. I was not sure, though. I would have to watch her a little longer. However, after living together day in and day out, I truly was no longer like I had been when I first came back, having a stress reaction whenever Ruan Yaoxi was around, because she was just so well-behaved. And a little cute, too. Before we knew it, school was about to start. On the first day of school, Dad took both of us to school. He repeatedly reminded me, Yaoxi's injuries have just healed. Look after her. But Ruan Yaoxi said seriously, Uncle, I will protect Big Brother. Honestly, at first, I thought she was simply acting sweet out of habit, but I did not expect her to mean it. It started when we entered the new classroom. We were in class 1, 3rd grade. In elementary school, we stayed in the same class after being assigned in 1st grade. I noticed that Ruan Yaoxi, who always liked clinging to me, after entering the school, slowed her pace and chose to follow behind me instead. I deliberately slowed down too, but she did not catch up. I had a rough idea why. She was keeping her distance to avoid gossip. And so, we entered the classroom one after the other. Just as I reached my seat, a disdainful voice suddenly came from beside me. You cannot sit here. Little beggars belong in the trash heap. Ruan Yaoxi's new backpack was thrown down by the girl standing across from her. At that moment, she stood by the seat next to mine, her head lowered, her expression hidden. I could not help frowning. Ruan Yaoxi looked beautiful today. She wore the new little dress Mom had bought her, and her hair was tied neatly. Her delicate features made her little face lovely as a doll's, yet they still called her a little beggar. Watching this made me feel even worse. Ruan Yaoxi heard the other students snickering and saw her backpack tossed onto the floor. The new backpack was pink, with pretty goat printed on it. She had loved it the first time she saw it, but she had seen the price. It cost 56 yuan. It was really expensive. So, when she went to the supermarket with me, she only looked at it twice before turning away. But after dinner last night, Mom and I went out and came back carrying this backpack. She treasured it dearly, and now someone had thrown it on the ground. Everyone said she was dirty. Ruan Yaoxi's eyes reddened, and a trace of viciousness appeared in them. Suddenly, a chubby white hand picked the backpack up from the floor and gently dusted it off. Zhou Wang Xuan, do not go too far. This backpack is new, yet you threw her backpack on the floor, and this seat is empty anyway. Zhou Wang Xuan probably had not expected anyone to defend Ruan Yaoxi. Her eyes widened. New? Where could she possibly get the money? Maybe she stole it. I had never noticed before that even at this age, some people could be so cruel. To a 7 or 8-year-old child, they could so easily call her a thief. Shut up. My parents bought this. The dress and backpack. And the shoes too. Got a problem with that? I stepped in front of Ruan Yaoxi, then placed the backpack on the seat she wanted. I said gently, Ruan Yaoxi, sit here. The little girl gave me a timid glance, her eyes still red-rimmed. My heart ached for her. Such an adorable girl. How much had she endured to become the person she was later? How many times had she faced scenes like this throughout her childhood? What are you doing? Class is starting. Find a seat and sit down. Just then, our homeroom teacher, Teacher Lei, called out sternly. The students were all afraid of teachers, and everyone quickly scattered. Ruan Yaoxi looked at me beside her. I stood at her side like a knight. When she was little, she had a knight too. It had worn her mother's face. It had been her mother's embrace. Then her mother left. She imagined many people coming to protect her, but none of them had faces. Not before today, but after today, they did. They had Big Brother's face. I felt her gaze. I looked down at her. Just sit tight. Then I returned to my seat. Ruan Yaoxi pressed her lips together and secretly smiled. It was the first time anyone had stood up for her at school. On the first day of school, nothing much happened, but I felt sleepy all day. Luckily, apart from that little morning conflict, nothing major happened for the rest of the day. Well, not exactly. Some kids in class, because I defended Ruan Yaoxi, seemed to be excluding me. Others, like Ruan Yaoxi's desk mate, wanted to be her friend. But she kept a cold little face and ignored them all. Yet she was completely different with me. Soft and gentle. So obedient. Whatever I said went. I had to admit, it felt pretty good. Still, I could not help looking at her. You need to make friends at school too. They all want to be friends with you now. But some of them bullied me before. Ruan Yaoxi followed behind me with her backpack on. She said quietly. Before I could answer, several boys came out of nowhere and shoved me hard. I could not stop myself, damn. I fell into the entrance of a nearby alley. My knees and the hand I used to brace myself both hurt. They were probably scraped raw. One boy smugly said, "That is what you get for hanging around Ruan Yaoxi. You are both little beggars. Damn little brats." Gritting my teeth, I was about to get up and fight. But when I looked up, my eyes nearly popped out. Ruan Yaoxi held half a brick she had found somewhere. She turned its sharp edge toward the boy. Then she viciously jabbed it into his leg. Seeing that, I scrambled up from the ground and rushed over to grab Ruan Yaoxi. But the brick still struck the boy's leg. He howled and burst into tears. The other two boys were terrified by the sudden turn and did not dare move. Ruan Yaoxi was too thin to break free from my grip. So she suddenly hurled the brick in her hand. It hit the other boy beside her in the foot. With a wail, that boy started crying too. I held the still struggling Ruan Yaoxi tightly and said sternly, "Do you want to drop out of school?" At that, she went quiet. Then I shouted at the three little brats, "Keep crying, and I will get the teacher. I will say you all gang up on me." I yelled loudly. The boys instantly stopped crying. After dealing with that, I glared fiercely at Ruan Yaoxi in my arms and said, "Once I let go, do not move, or I will tell my mom." She obediently settled down after hearing that, but her eyes still glinted with hatred for those boys. How dare they bully Jiang Zhe? I will get revenge for him. If not today, then next time. In the end, the three boys ran off with red-rimmed eyes. I walked over to Ruan Yaoxi. My voice was cold. "If I had not stopped you, what were you planning to do?" "They bullied you," Ruan Yaoxi said quietly. I took a deep breath, about to comfort her, but noticed her hand trembling slightly. I quickly took her hand. There was a fresh bloody gash on her palm, still oozing blood. "Wait, you are hurt. Why did you not say so?" My tone came out sharp. She flinched instinctively at my words. Then she softly apologized. "I am sorry." I took Ruan Yaoxi by the wrist and led her forward. My tone was cold. "Do not throw bricks at people again. If you had hit them with that, what would you do if something happened to them? Quit school? What if the school called your dad?" Ruan Yaoxi remained silent. She only stared at the hand holding hers. She did not hurt at all. Even as I dragged her along, she felt happy. When she did not respond for a long time, I turned to look at her. "Did you hear me?" Ruan Yaoxi obediently nodded. "I heard you, big brother." She could use something other than a brick. She could use something else. After we took the bus home, we were the only ones there. I had to treat her well myself. I looked at the little girl before me, my voice serious but gentle. "Do not be so impulsive again. Protect yourself first. Like what happened today. They did not fight back. Otherwise, who could you possibly beat?" But Ruan Yaoxi looked up at me solemnly and said, "It is fine if they bully me. I can endure it. But if they bully you, that is not okay." She held out her injured hand and tightly grasped mine. "Big brother, I will protect you." I froze at her words. Warmth surged through my heart. "Little sister, I will protect you too." This semester, Ruan Yaoxi had changed completely. She was still aloof, but she had gained a few girls to play with, even some boys. At that moment, I was lying face down on my desk, thinking about Ruan Yaoxi from my past life. In my memories, she was quiet, a little dirty, and seemed gloomy all the time. Yet she was an excellent student. Logically speaking, teachers tend to treat good students a little more favorably. She should not have been isolated all that time. It was all because when she was in first grade, Ruan Yaoxi got drunk and came to school making a drunken scene. After that, nobody cared about her anymore. Everyone was afraid of crossing Ruan Yaoxi, that thug. Afterward, she never even went to middle school. During the summer after 6th grade, she was taken to the hospital covered in blood. It was the time Mom went to knock on their door. I heard she was almost beaten to death. Where she went after leaving the hospital, I do not really remember. Then, much later, I met her on a blind date. I clearly remember Ruan Yaoxi on the day of that blind date. The moment she appeared, She captured my attention. Her features were exquisite, her beauty cool and captivating. Her makeup made her upturned eyes and brows seem distant. But the instant those doe eyes looked at me, they were full of smiles and innocence. I was an innocent young man, blank as a sheet of paper, and my heart instantly began to race. And she called my name so gently, her voice sweet and tender. By then, my memories of Ruan Yaoxi had grown hazy, but she was exceptionally good with people. By bringing up our childhood, she quickly closed the distance between us and lowered my guard when she said, pale-faced, that her period had come early and that she lived nearby, then asked whether I could take her home. I hesitated for a moment. After all, I had seen her chat history with Mom, but I never imagined she had come prepared. As I drank the drugged water and was about to pass out, I received a message from Mom. Littlesh, that girl was hit by a car after work. She cannot make it today. You can reschedule. The good news was that I at least knew I had been tricked. The bad news was that I found out too late, even after I realized my predicament the next day. I learned that Ruan Yaoxi might have been deceived by fake medicine too. Then she sat silently beside the bed, gently caressing my face. Suddenly, she smiled. She picked up the knife on the table, without the slightest hesitation. Now, when I think about how we were discovered in my past life, we might have been found naked together, and we might even have made the news together. It makes me furious. At least put some clothes on me. Something was suddenly set gently on my desk. I snapped. What are you doing? Ruan Yaoxi's eyes widened. She gently placed the red bean slush in her hand. On my desk. I bought this for you. Only then did I notice the sweat covering her forehead and neck. Her face was slightly flushed. The red bean slush in her hand was from the school store's limited summer lunchtime offering. You had to stand in line to buy it, and each cup cost 3 yuan. As far as I knew, Mom only gave each of us 5 yuan in weekly allowance. It was already Thursday, and I had spent all mine long ago. Yet Ruan Yaoxi had bought this from me. Ruan Yaoxi pushed the red bean slush toward me. She whispered, I was wrong. I should not have woken you up. I really should not have. I sighed. I took the straw, pierced the lid, and handed it to her. Ruan Yaoxi froze. She softly said, I bought this for you. I could never bring myself to buy one for myself. Hurry and drink it, before everyone sees us. I frowned at her. I had actually wanted her to have all of it. Ruan Yaoxi looked at the straw held to her lips. She cautiously glanced at me. Though I looked fierce, she knew I was not mean. She had grown up amid Ruan Dacian's beatings and insults. She had seen every kind of expression. She could clearly tell who truly cared about her, and who was only pretending. Ruan Yaoxi blinked. She took a small sip of the red bean slush. Then she smiled. It is really good. Her smile was so sweet. Her doe eyes curved slightly. Her lips barely lifted, as though she were a little shy. Looking at the adorable, bashful Ruan Yaoxi, I felt even more troubled. Do you want some? You can have it. I held the red bean slush out to her, but she looked hurt. A little at a loss, she said, I am sorry. Do you think it is dirty because I drank from it? Expressionless, I pulled the red bean slush back. I took a sip and said irritably, enough. Sit properly. Seeing that I did not mind drinking from the red bean slush she had sipped, Ruan Yaoxi was thrilled. She was even more excited than when she pointed a knife at Ruan Dacian. Jiang Zhe is so good to me. It would be wonderful if he could always treat her like this. She would be very good to him too. No one could bully Jiang Zhe, and no one could take him away from her. School had been in session for almost 2 months, and I could not shake the feeling that something was wrong. After school that afternoon, we sat on the bus together. I asked Ruan Yaoxi, has your dad ever stayed away from home this long? It has been nearly 2 months. I still have not seen Ruan Dacian. Last night, I even heard my parents saying how strange it was. Ruan Yaoxi, clutching her school bag beside me, went rigid. After being carefully looked after at my house, she had become fairer and filled out a little. She was much prettier than she had been a month ago. Her bright, fresh appearance was incredibly endearing. I did not want her to go back and suffer her father's beatings and abuse again. I thought that if Ruan Dacian came back, I would hide her first. After all, I was just a kid. If I were caught, I would get scolded at most. Besides, Ruan Dacian might not even find her. I reached out and stilled the hand rubbing her school bag strap. Do not worry. If he comes back, I will hide you. Ruan Yaoxi was stunned by that. Hide me? Wasn't he supposed to leave her alone and make her go home? Everyone in the neighborhood was afraid of Ruan Dacian. When he went crazy, he would even take a dump outside people's doors. Ruan Yaoxi thought Ruan Dacian was not human at all. He was an animal. Animals belonged in the slaughterhouse. At that thought, her gaze turned cold. A faint killing intent flickered in her eyes, but the hand holding hers was warm. My voice was gentle too. Hey, we need to solve the problem at its root. I just have not figured out how yet. Hide for now. You cannot get hurt again. I thought I should go home and ask my parents. Mainly because, as a kid right now, there was nothing I could do. A man like Ruan Dacian must have done something illegal. After all, in my past life, he was arrested when I was in middle school. I just did not know why. At the time, I did not know that this unintentional act had saved Ruan Yaoxi once. The girl looked at her hand in mine. Someone cared about her now. She could not die alongside that animal Ruan Dacian. But then, as soon as we got home, we understood why Ruan Dacian had not returned. A beautiful woman stood outside Ruan Yaoxi's door. The woman looked at Ruan Yaoxi and called out, "Sweetheart." But Ruan Yaoxi remained expressionless. Instinctively, she hid behind me. I instinctively shielded her too. The woman's face turned pale. She looked deeply awkward. Her eyes fell on me. "You're Xiaosh, right? Do you remember me? I am Yaoxi's mother, Annie Chen. Who would remember you?" I thought, but I still said, "Annie Chen." Chen Hui breathed a sigh of relief. Then she looked at Ruan Yaoxi. "Yaoxi, Mom has something to tell you." Just then, Mom came home from work, carrying groceries up the stairs. "Yaoxi, Xiaosh, why are you standing in the stairwell? Come inside. There is watermelon in the fridge." Then her voice caught. She cried in surprise. "Chen Hui, you are back." In the end, all four of us went inside. Ruan Yaoxi never spoke to Chen Hui. When Chen Hui tried to take her hand, Yaoxi pulled away. Chen Hui was so awkward. She did not know what to do. Mom sighed. "Xiaosh, take Yaoxi to your room to do your homework. Take the watermelon in and eat it too." After we went in, I deliberately left the door ajar. I pressed myself against it and eavesdropped. Just as I was listening intently, a small voice sounded beside my ear. "Do you really want to know what they are saying that badly?" I jumped. "Damn. You nearly scared me to death. Jiang Zhe, say filthy words like that again, and I will smack you. I will check your homework later." I yelped. "Got it." Then I pinched Ruan Yaoxi's little cheek. "Try scaring me again." Ruan Yaoxi did not avoid me. She mumbled, "I am sorry." I looked into her innocent doe eyes and sighed. "Why do you not want to know what your mom is saying? What difference would knowing make? She does not want me anyway." Ruan Yaoxi's tone was flat. Chen Hui had not returned once since leaving over a year ago. She knew what kind of man Ruan Dacian was. She also knew what Ruan Yaoxi might suffer. Yet she had heartlessly abandoned her daughter. In the first few days after I was reborn, I heard Ruan Dacian beating her as he cursed. "That bitch of a mother does not want you anymore. You are a worthless little bitch too. Go find her." Ha ha ha. Did she not want you? Does she think you are just like me? She does not want you. Who else would want you? I was not really a child. So I remembered those words clearly. Hearing her casually say that her mother did not want her either, I could not help saying, "How will you know if you do not try? Maybe she came to take you with her this time." My past life had gone smoothly. I was full of hope for life. So those words came naturally to me. "Brother." I went to find her. She got herself a rich boyfriend. When she saw me, she looked as though she had seen a ghost. Maybe she never expected me to still be alive. That man was shocked too. That kid was hurt. She said not to meddle. It might be a scam. Then she dragged him away. Ruan Yaoxi's words were simple, but I clenched my pen tightly. How desperate she must have been then. How much courage it must have taken to seek out her mother. But reality hurt her even more than Ruan Dacian's beatings and abuse. "No one will want me," Ruan Yaoxi whispered. Her long lashes hid the emotions in her eyes. "She will not want me this time either." "That is nonsense." I said. "My parents really like you. They wish you were their own daughter." My heart aching, I stroked her head. "You are just a child. Do not be so pessimistic. You have had rotten luck. You suffered so much before you turned 8. From now on, you will have a happy life. Everything will get better." Hearing that, Ruan Yaoxi looked up at me. Her eyes sparkled. "Really?" I nodded. "It is true," I said firmly. "Then you will not abandon me, will you, brother?" She pressed softly, gently clutching the hem of my shirt. Her question felt a little strange, but seeing that she was about to cry, I nodded anyway. "Do not worry." I truly could not understand it. How could anyone abandon such a beautiful, well-behaved girl? There was not one normal person in that family. Where I could not see, Ruan Yaoxi's lips curled slightly. Kind people are always so easy to fool. I will make sure no one else deceives Jiang Zhe. As for me, I thought, the more I learned about Ruan Yaoxi, the more I understood why she became that way in her past life. It was already remarkable that she grew up at all, let alone that she did not go down the wrong path. In this life, I would do my best to make her into a young socialist. When Ruan Yaoxi and I were finally let out, Chen was already gone from our home. Mom took Ruan Yaoxi's hand. Her eyes were full of pity. She said gently, "And he needs to tell you something. Your father committed involuntary manslaughter, so he will likely serve several years in prison." Hearing this, Ruan Yaoxi gave a slight nod without expression. Normally, you should live with your mother, but it may not be convenient for her. From now on, you can live with Auntie Sue and Uncle Zhang, and with Brother Xiaozhi too. Would that be all right? Mom's face was full of helplessness too. Chen had even knelt before her just now. She said she was getting married, and her fiancé did not know she had a daughter. She claimed she had no other choice. Mom's expression had been icy then, but Chen must have seen that Mom was soft-hearted. She said that if Mom refused, she would beg someone else in the neighborhood. Thinking of sweet, obedient Ruan Yaoxi, Mom could not trust anyone else with her either. Your mother is not abandoning you. She left behind a bank card. She will transfer money every month from now on. If you want to see her, Annie will help you contact her. Before Mom could finish, Ruan Yaoxi softly said, "Annie, I would like that. You can keep all that money. I only want to be able to go to school. As long as I have food to eat, that is enough. I will be very good. I will not cause you any trouble." She reached out and gently tugged at Mom's sleeve. "Annie, please do not abandon me." Then I watched Mom burst into tears on the spot. Well, that settled it. That little psycho had really become my sister. Still, I was a little happy about it. I hoped Ruan Dacian would never get out of prison. That way, Ruan Yaoxi could finally grow up healthy this time. And just like that, Ruan Yaoxi moved in with my family. As for how many years Ruan Dacian would get, no one could say for sure. Chen had not explained it either. Mom even said, Chen probably did not want to take care of Ruan Yaoxi either. She was simply afraid people would find out she had abandoned her child. She even said Yaoxi was as hard to kill as Ruan Dacian. Such a tiny child had actually survived. Mom's hushed voice drifted out from the room, heavy with anger. I stood by the door, feeling just as angry. In the home she had come from, no one cared whether Ruan Yaoxi lived or died, not even her parents. Anger and helplessness surged through me. During her days in our home, Ruan Yaoxi's constant wariness suddenly made perfect sense. I turned and quietly went back to my room. The moment I entered, I saw someone sitting on the padded floor. I nearly blurted out, "Damn." But that little figure suddenly turned around and softly called, "Brother." I let out a breath. Then I walked over. Keeping my voice down, I asked, "Weren't you asleep?" "I had a nightmare. I woke up and found you were gone." The little girl's voice was soft, tinged with tears. She reached out and instinctively gripped the hem of my pajamas. Through the dim light, I saw tears glinting in her eyes. Did wake up crying? Thinking of what I had just overheard, I sighed. I took her little hand. "Why are you sitting on the floor? Get up and go to bed." I only went out to get some water. Ruan Yaoxi rose with my pull, but she did not move toward the bed. She just stood there without moving. I looked at her. After hesitating, she said, "I am afraid to sleep alone. I will not go back up there. Can I sleep on the floor? I want to be closer to you." Ruan Yaoxi's voice was tiny and trembling. "I am scared to lie up there alone. It is too far from you." It was fortunate the lights were off. Otherwise, I would have seen the excitement in her eyes, which she could not hide at all. She had indeed been dreaming just now, but in her dream, she had killed Ruan Dacian. When she woke, excitement and exhilaration made her whole body tremble. Her eyes shone brightly. Only after hearing my footsteps did she climb down from the bed. She knew I was soft-hearted, especially now that I knew how Chen had treated her. Ruan Yaoxi did not like being pitied. But if that person was Jiang Zhe, then it was different. Silently in the pitch-black room, I stood face to face with her. Neither of us spoke. There was only the sound of our breathing. In the end, I shifted over a little. "Just tonight," I muttered. "Come up here." Ruan Yaoxi smiled and quickly climbed onto the bed. She only dared take up a tiny bit of space. "Brother, I do not toss and turn in my sleep. I thought, I know, but I do. I lay there wide-eyed, beside Ruan Yaoxi. Then I suddenly said, let me tell you a bedtime story. Go ahead, brother. Once upon a time, there was an old man. He had 12 sons. Their names were prosperity, democracy, civility, and harmony. Brother, those are the core socialist values, right? Her hesitant, timid voice rang out. Shut up, I snapped, a little annoyed. How did you know that at only 8? Then recite them once. From now on, you have to recite the socialist core values every day. In the end, I fell asleep again. Being young is great. You can fall asleep the instant your head hits the pillow. Once she saw I was asleep, Ruan Yaoxi slowly turned to look at me. She could only make out the blurry outline of my profile. She smiled and slowly edged closer to me until I instinctively turned over and pulled her into my arms. Only then did she close her eyes in satisfaction. I held her tight, but Ruan Yaoxi felt safe. Safer than she had felt at any point since she was 5. After that day, I finally convinced myself to accept Ruan Yaoxi. I vowed to raise her well. After all, she had not turned twisted yet. I did not want to die, and I did not want Ruan Yaoxi to die with me. Ruan Dacian's sentence was finally handed down. He received 7 years in prison for negligent homicide. That meant for the next 7 years, Ruan Yaoxi would be safe. Some time later, I had a problem. Why did my roommate keep having nightmares? 2 or 3 times a week, she would stand pitifully beside my bed, reciting the core socialist values. No, wait. Ruan Yaoxi, if you have another nightmare, I will have my mom come sleep with you. I glared at Ruan Yaoxi standing beside my bed, my tone unfriendly. Ruan Yaoxi blinked. Her lashes curved sweetly, her eyes clear, and she looked utterly innocent. But I had become immune to it. Every time she got into bed, she was perfectly well behaved. But when I woke the next morning, I would always be holding her in my sleep, like she was some giant doll. How was that appropriate? We were not toddlers anymore. After Ruan Yaoxi had lived with us for 6 months, her complexion had grown fairer. Her face had filled out too, and she had grown taller. She was beginning to look like a proper little girl. Whenever she looked at me, she was still gentle and soft. Even after being scolded by me now, she only gave a quiet, "Oh, I know. I will go up after I finish reciting them." With that, she turned away, looking dejected. I suddenly called out, "Wait." When she looked back at me with shining eyes, I asked, "If Liu Qi and Shihan get into a fight, what should you do if you see it? Who cares if they kill each other? It would be enough if I did not hand them a brick." But faced with my serious, stern gaze, she answered earnestly, "Stop them, and get someone to call a teacher." I nodded in satisfaction. All right, go to bed. I knew there was still hope for her. At least, from what I had seen lately, my efforts at educating her had shown clear results. Seeing how pleased I was, Ruan Yaoxi said, "Good night, brother," then climbed into bed. In the middle of the night, I woke up needing to pee. The moment I opened my eyes, I saw her lying on the rug. Ruan Yaoxi curled up close beside my bed. The next day, I told my parents, I am almost 9. So it is not appropriate for Ruan Yaoxi and me to keep sleeping together. Ruan Yaoxi lowered her eyes over her porridge and tightened her grip on her spoon. Brother was being naughty. Ruan Yaoxi was always obedient at home. But at school, she was the cool, aloof girl. She kept everyone at arm's length, except for me. But because I asked her to get along with her classmates, Ruan Yaoxi had friends now. Even Zhou Xuan, who had bullied her before, now liked playing with her. By 6th grade, she was someone many classmates admired. Her grades were excellent and consistently so. Just look at your grades, and you still want to go out and play. Go get tutoring now. My grades were not actually bad. Ruan Yaoxi's were simply too good. With that comparison, Mom was dissatisfied with mine. Do not ask why someone who had been reborn could not outperform an 11-year-old. After being out of college for 3 or 4 years, try doing a 5th or 6th grade math problem. Well, try one, and you will have nothing to say. When Mom told me to get tutoring, Ruan Yaoxi spoke up, "Aunt Sue, I can tutor Jiang Zhe." I glanced at her. I scoffed inwardly. She had grown taller and did not even call me brother anymore. Unlike the icy dismissal she gave me, when it came to Ruan Yaoxi, Mom was truly gentle. "We cannot disrupt Yaoxi's studies. Your teacher Lei said, your grades are more than enough for No. 1 high school." Ruan Yaoxi said earnestly, "Aunt Sue, I can do it. I want to go to No. 1 high school with Jiang Zhe." As she spoke, She glanced at me. I sighed. I really can do well on the exams. Do not worry. Mom looked at the two of us, then nodded. We will see. We are moving tomorrow, so get up early. That is right. We were finally moving. Mom had always wanted to take Ruan Yaoxi away from here. Maybe when Ruan Daishan got out, he probably would not come looking. After all, he never cared about his daughter anyway. But in Mom's heart, Ruan Yaoxi was practically her own daughter. That night was the last time the two of us would share a room. In the new house, we would each have our own room. While I was delighted, Ruan Yaoxi was clearly unhappy, especially when she saw me pull a little pink gift from my backpack. Her expression turned cold. I was confused too. What was this? But I quickly figured it out. Some little girl must have slipped it in. I searched through my bag, and sure enough, there was a pink sticky note too. It had a QQ number written on it, along with a message, Jiang Zhe. Can we be online friends? We can study together. I do not like studying. I put everything away, planning to return it early on Monday. I was not some creep. Getting attention from an 11 or 12-year-old girl was not going to make me feel anything. If anything, it was a little awkward. Ruan Yaoxi stared at me with wide eyes, watching what I was doing. Then she slowly said, "Brother, what is that?" I answered seriously, "A little girl does not need to know. You just need to focus on studying." Ruan Yaoxi said nothing. She only kept staring at me, her little face drawn tight. She looked unhappy. Seeing that, I reached out and turned her head away. "Do your homework." Ruan Yaoxi pressed her lips together. After a while, she softly said, "Oh, it was fine." She could guess who it was. Jiang Zhe was her brother. No one could take him from her. That night, I looked at Ruan Yaoxi standing beside my bed with a pillow in her arms, and fell silent. "Brother, I am scared. I want to sleep with you," Ruan Yaoxi said matter-of-factly. I took a deep breath, then stood up. I pointed at the dolls covering her bed, big and small. I had given her every one of them. "What are you scared of? That they will come alive and eat you?" To my surprise, Ruan Yaoxi actually nodded. "Yes, I dreamed Spider-Man bit me, and I turned into a spider. Then Captain America led a bunch of superheroes chasing me, calling me a monster. I ran into Doraemon on the way, but he would not save me either." Watching her spin this tale without changing expression, I could not stop myself from blurting out, "What the hell? That works too?" Dad, who had just passed the door, heard me. "You little brat, looking for another beating?" "No, I am not. Dad, we are going to sleep," I hurriedly said. Then I saw that the one Captain America and his team had been chasing had already nimbly climbed into my bed. I was not happy about it, but Ruan Yaoxi was already up there and refused to get down. Speechless, I could only pull down her blanket too. One blanket each. Otherwise, I would definitely steal Ruan Yaoxi's blanket and wake her up tonight. She was stubborn like that. Even if the cold woke her, she would not take her blanket back. She would just lie there freezing. Once, she even caught a cold from it, and Mom scolded me for it. But it was not really my fault. Ruan Yaoxi had her own bed and would not sleep in it. She insisted on squeezing into mine. That night, Ruan Yaoxi obediently finished reciting the core socialist values. Then, as usual, I asked, "If you run into an opponent much stronger than you, who wants to fight you, what will you do?" Ruan Yaoxi looked at me with wide eyes. "Protect myself first. Then wait for brother, uncle, and Annie to save me." I gave a satisfied hum. "Remember that. Do not try to take someone down with you again, like you did when you were little. You have to remember, Mom, Dad, and I are all waiting for you. You have people who care about you. You have so many friends. And you have us too." My voice grew softer and softer. Soon, I fell asleep. Ruan Yaoxi's anger at someone trying to take her brother away suddenly vanished. Just moments ago, she had been thinking of ways to scare that girl off. But now, she suddenly did not want to do anything. She wanted to remain the good girl in my eyes forever. If that was what he liked, Ruan Yaoxi whispered, "Good night, brother." Then she closed her eyes peacefully. Early the next morning, the movers arrived. I knew buying this house had basically drained our family savings. "Oh, Zhu, you must have made quite a fortune raising Yaoxi all these years. You have even bought a new house." That bitter, sarcastic voice belonged to Aunt Wang, the great philanthropist upstairs. I had heard plenty of her snide remarks. Who knew where they had heard it? But they said Chen Hui had gotten rich and paid our family a huge sum every month to raise Ruan Yaoxi. During that time, When we came home after school, we would see Aunt Wang in the stairwell or the community garden, trying to drag Ruan Yaoxi back to her home for dinner. Everything she said was really an attempt to gain custody of Ruan Yaoxi. Then Ruan Yaoxi, sounding aggrieved but speaking loudly in the community garden, said, "But Aunt Wang, the food you give me tastes funny. Even Xiaohei downstairs will not eat it. I do not like your family's food." Xiaohei was the stray dog in our neighborhood. Well, that did it. The great philanthropist's true face had been exposed. She started telling everyone that Ruan Yaoxi was an ungrateful wretch. She said Su Ying looked kind but had a vicious heart, and must be abusing Ruan Yaoxi somehow. Now she spoke with the same snide tone. "Hey, Su, you have bought a new house already. Why not sell this place to me cheap?" Mom had a very good temper. At least, whenever she was not dealing with me. Everyone said she was gentle. But hearing that now, Mom gave her a smile that was not quite a smile. "Sure, Sister Wang. Homes around here go for about 6,500 yuan per square meter now. We have been neighbors for years, so I will make it 6,000 for you. But you will have to pay in full." At that, Aunt Wang's smile froze. "No, Su, I remember when you bought this place. It was only 3,500 per square meter. Are you not asking an outrageous price? You have bought a new house already. You cannot keep all the profit for yourself. I gave Ruan Yaoxi plenty of food back then too. I never asked you for money. Even a dog I raise would guard my door for me." Mom's expression darkened. "Even dogs will not eat that stuff of yours. If you want money, ask Ruan Dacian. Go ask Chen Hui." For the first time, she showed Wang Feng a cold face. "Please move aside. Do not block the movers." Aunt Wang's face turned red with rage. She walked to the door and faced our home, then spat. "What are you so smug about? Ruan Yaoxi, do you think they really want to help you? They have taken plenty of money from your mother. Watch out, or they will make you their son's child bride." I just said, "Oh." Then I grabbed a broom, ready to hit her. Mom grabbed the hood of my sweatshirt. "Enough. Do not waste your breath on people like them. That is just how people in Hong Dunzi are. That is why your father and I wanted to take you away from here." She looked toward the girl standing in the doorway. Ruan Yaoxi, who had been listening for who knew how long. "Come here." Ruan Yaoxi walked over. Mom looked at the pretty, well-cared-for girl before her, and the sight of her made Mom happy. She reached out and brushed aside the hair hiding those beautiful eyes. "Do not take Aunt Wang's words to heart. You are wonderful. You deserve to be loved by many people. She just overthinks everything." I added from beside them. "Besides, there are no child brides nowadays." Mom rolled her eyes. "Is that really the point?" She took Ruan Yaoxi's hand. "We have records of everything spent on you each year. Your uncle and I have kept track of it all. If you want to see them, we can show you everything." "Your Aunt Wang. Annie, I know what you mean." I will not listen to her either. Ruan Yaoxi interrupted her. "Annie, I am not a child anymore. I can tell right from wrong." With that, she gave Su Ying a sweet smile. Watching Ruan Yaoxi smile so sweetly, I saw her secretly glance toward the door. Her long lashes hid the emotions in her eyes. Still, something felt off. Do not ask. Call it a man's intuition. Sure enough, after Mom and Dad made several trips, telling us to carry our things downstairs, we realized Ruan Yaoxi was gone. A thought suddenly struck me. I glanced at the apartment across from ours. Sure enough, there were fingerprints in the dust on the door. I looked upstairs. Ruan Yaoxi had been far too well behaved these past years. But just now, when I could not read the emotions in her eyes, I suddenly remembered. When I had first returned after being reborn, I had seen that gloomy look on her at the stairwell. I headed upstairs. Aunt Wang's apartment was up there. Sure enough, I found Ruan Yaoxi at the stairway landing. She clearly had not expected me to come upstairs. Ruan Yaoxi instinctively hid what she held in her hand. "Why are you here?" I looked at her. "What is in your hand?" Ruan Yaoxi pressed her lips together and said nothing, but her hand clenched tighter despite herself. Sharp thumbtacks pierced her palm, yet she felt only a faint sting. Her expression did not change. She even smiled. "It is nothing. Let us hurry downstairs." With that, she tried to pass me and head down, but I grabbed her wrist. "Let me see." Ruan Yaoxi's hand still twitched uncontrollably, but she did not loosen her grip. She only apologized. "Jiang Zhe, I did something wrong. Will you be angry?" She thought for a moment, then added, "I have not done it yet, so it does not really count as doing something wrong." After saying that, she cautiously glanced at me, but I only looked at her without expression. then said, "Open your hand." Ruan Yaoxi was still a little afraid of me, afraid I was angry. Her scarred hand opened with a slight tremble. Her palm was already a bloody mess. She whispered, "I did not do anything bad. Please do not be angry." My hands trembled slightly. I looked at Ruan Yaoxi's palm. Several thumbtacks had pierced deep into it. Just now, it was as though she had not known any pain. She had kept her fist clenched tight. Even now, she had not cried out once. "You wanted revenge on Wang Feng. You were going to leave thumbtacks on the stairs. Do you realize this could get out of control? If one of those tacks pierced somewhere it should not, someone could die." My voice was cold. I looked at the bottle of oil in the corner. I had noticed it already. Then Mom's voice called for us from downstairs. "Are you two done?" Ruan Yaoxi seemed to suddenly snap back to herself. Panicked, she reached for the hem of my shirt, just like she had when we were children. But her movement stopped. Her hand was dirty. Big brother was dressed in white today, and I stepped away from her. I was truly angry. All this time, Ruan Yaoxi had behaved so well. I thought I had influenced her, at least somewhat, over the years. But when I saw those thumbtacks and that oil, I realized I had been too arrogant and taken too much for granted. Ruan Yaoxi was not an ordinary child. "Big brother, I am sorry. I was wrong. I will never dare do it again. I did not mean to do anything serious. She insulted Annie and Uncle, and she insulted you too. I only wanted to punish her a little." Mom's footsteps had already started up the stairs. More panic entered Ruan Yaoxi's voice. "Big brother, please do not abandon me. Annie and Uncle will be so disappointed if they find out. They will think I am a bad child." As she spoke, her eyes reddened. She mentioned Mom, mentioned Dad, and mentioned me, but she never mentioned herself. Even her revenge was for us, not for herself. I took a deep breath. I turned away from her. "Since it does not hurt, hide it well. Do not let anyone see." Then I strode downstairs and sent Mom away. Winter was nearly here, yet Ruan Yaoxi felt her back soaked through. She did not know whether it was pain or fear that I would abandon her. Come to think of it, my family and the people in this complex had never really fit together. Mom was a teacher. Dad was a doctor. They were both educated, respectable people. Mom did not care to get close to them either. So, when it came to Ruan Yaoxi back then, they talked plenty behind our family's back. At first, they thought we were fools. Why be so soft-hearted? Kind people never end well. Later, they grew jealous. They thought we had come out way ahead. Maybe we got hundreds of thousands every year. Then they spread all kinds of rumors about our family. Ruan Yaoxi hated this place. She tried hard to become part of our family and escape this place. After treating her wounds, she followed us to our new home. We had actually visited the new house long ago, so there was nothing new about it. I wanted to help unpack, but Mom and Dad sent me back to do my homework. Then I saw Ruan Yaoxi holding her school bag, looking at me obediently. "Big brother, can I do my homework with you?" I did not say anything, only looked away. Ruan Yaoxi hesitated at the door. In the end, she cautiously stepped into my room. When I did not tell her to leave, Ruan Yaoxi breathed a quiet sigh of relief. Over the years, she had come to understand my temper and boundaries well enough. I was the most innocent and gullible person she had ever met. Aunt Sue and Uncle Zhang had protected me too well, and I had always been surrounded by kindness. Ruan Yaoxi wanted to protect me too, because only when she was with me could she feel that she, too, could pretend to be someone like me. That was why she wanted to protect me, and did not want to make me angry. "Big brother, I will not be so impulsive again, but I cannot stand them talking badly about you all behind your backs. I cannot stand it." Ruan Yaoxi leaned across the desk, looking at me with pitiful eyes. I could tell she was apologizing, but she was not truly sorry. I asked, my expression still stern, "If you meet another person like Wang Feng someday, will you take revenge every time?" Ruan Yaoxi fell silent for a moment. "If they have a filthy mouth like hers and insult you all, I will still do it. No one gets to speak badly about you. No one gets to hurt you either." Looking at her, I felt inexplicably weary. I stared at her and said seriously, "Ruan Yaoxi, if you fight back to protect yourself, that is right. But the first thing you did wrong today was knowing you had thumbtacks in your hand and still letting yourself get hurt." Ruan Yaoxi froze. Had her first mistake not been wanting revenge in the first place? Second, revenge is one thing, but you should not act without considering the consequences. Wang Feng may be infuriating, but she is not some monstrous villain. Did it really have to go that far? Ruan Yaoxi knew her judgment, and standards differed from ordinary people's, so she remained silent. Third, Ruan Yaoxi, you mention our whole family, but not yourself, even though you were hurt the most. Remember, no matter what, put yourself first, especially when it comes to protecting yourself. Do you understand? Ruan Yaoxi looked at me as my gaze softened. She reached up and touched her chest. And protect me while you are at it. Do not hurt me. I added awkwardly, after all. I really was innocent in my past life. It was not too much to emphasize that once, was it? Ruan Yaoxi suddenly smiled. Then she nodded. I understand. I will protect you. I will never hurt you. In exchange, Jiang Zhe, you have to belong to me forever. Looking at her, I felt a little troubled. I had not had any younger siblings in my past life either. I truly did not know how to raise a child. I had been somewhat confident before. After all, she really had been well-behaved all these years. But what happened today had completely shattered that confidence. I looked at Ruan Yaoxi, who seemed a little reassured now, and pressed a hand onto her head. Through gritted teeth, I said, Ruan Yaoxi, if there is a next time, I will beat you up. She muttered softly. If Mom finds out, she will hang you up and beat you. But Ruan Yaoxi knew she would not. And Sue might hang Jiang Zhe up and beat him, but she would never treat her that way. You call me big brother when you need something, and Jiang Zhe when you do not. Can you quit that habit? Big brother, will you look after me for the rest of my life? Who is looking after you? My voice was full of exasperation. Yet when I saw the smile on her face, the look in my eyes softened. That night, when we went back to rest, I rapped Ruan Yaoxi on the head. Not gently either. If there is a next time, I will beat you up. Ruan Yaoxi obediently murmured, okay. Next time, big brother definitely will not catch me. Before Ruan Yaoxi went into her room, she heard. I said, stop being so afraid. I will not abandon you. From the moment I agreed to let you move in, and decided to take care of you, I was never truly going to abandon you. Not even when I am angry. After hearing that, Ruan Yaoxi was like a cat soothed by its owner. She looked deeply content. After that, she did not cause any more trouble. That winter break, I did well on my final exams, so I finally got the chance to learn swimming. Ruan Yaoxi was supposed to go to, but I made her learn Sanda instead. After all, in 6th grade in her past life, Ruan Dacian had nearly beaten her to death. She needed to learn how to defend herself. Besides, she was pretty, and in a few years, she would only grow more beautiful. I felt as though I were raising a daughter. There was always something to worry about. I could not stay by her side forever. I had to teach her how to save herself. Later, I added, you also need to learn so you can protect me. Did you not say you would protect me? Only then did the deeply reluctant Ruan Yaoxi finally agree. One of us learned swimming, while the other learned Sanda. The places were nowhere near each other. But every time Ruan Yaoxi finished practice, she came to find me. Then we went home together. After the new year, we were 12, and about to start middle school. I took the middle school entrance exams seriously. Both of us got into first middle school. Then Chen Hui came to visit. She was pregnant. She brought gifts for both of us. A phone for each of us, and a tablet each. She said they were gifts for starting middle school, but neither Ruan Yaoxi nor I reacted much. That made Chen Hui a little awkward. Mom probably noticed, and told us to go back to studying. Once we were in the room, Ruan Yaoxi seemed very calm. I could not help asking, are you not curious why your mother came? What else could it be? She is just here to tell me not to bother her, right? Her belly is already showing. If I am not mistaken, she will probably leave behind some money this time. Enough to pay for my education through college. Then she will never come again, and cut off all contact with me. Ruan Yaoxi's voice was flat, as if she were talking about something unimportant. For a moment, I did not know what to say. After a brief silence, I gave a dry laugh. You know her pretty well. Neither of us brought it up again. We quietly began reviewing our lessons instead. The sound of a door opening and closing came from outside. Chen Hui had probably left. I immediately stood up, making up an excuse. I said, I will wash some fruit for you. Ruan Yaoxi watched me turn and head outside. She wanted to sigh. That was not a very convincing excuse. After all, she was usually the one who washed the fruit. When I stepped outside, I saw that the things Chen Hui had brought were still sitting on the table, but there was an extra card on it. Hearing me, Mom suddenly looked over. Her expression was grim. She beckoned me over. Xiaosh, come here. I walked over and glanced at the card. I could barely contain my anger. Did she leave the card and say she will not contact her again? Mom looked at me in surprise. More or less. She said not to contact her unless it is necessary. This money is for Yaoxi. For middle school, high school, and college. 300,000 yuan is certainly not a small sum. Under normal circumstances, it should be enough. But by normal, she meant if nothing unexpected happened. Still, Mom was furious. Furious that Chen Hui was so eager to cut ties with Ruan Yaoxi. My heart ached for Ruan Yaoxi too. She was so well-behaved and smart, and so beautiful too. Chen Hui had not even given Ruan Yaoxi a second look. Mom and I fell silent for a moment. Mom stroked my head. Xiaosh. From now on, Yaoxi only has us. I know I have been a little strict with you over the years, but I only want both of you to be well, to grow up healthy, and ideally, become even better people. I smiled. Mom, I understand. It is okay. Do not tell Ruan Yaoxi about this. I lowered my voice. Chen Hui has not visited in all these years anyway. It does not matter if she never comes again. Just do not let Ruan Yaoxi find out. She is so smart. She may have guessed already. But as long as it is not confirmed, it is only a guess. Mom sighed. All right. But neither of us noticed that my bedroom door had not been fully closed. Ruan Yaoxi gently closed the door. She did not find any of it hard to accept. But she wondered whether, tonight, if she took the chance to ask to sleep with her big brother, he might soften up. Ruan Yaoxi looked at my bed, her eyes full of longing. She was only a hurt little girl. It was perfectly reasonable for her to sleep with her big brother, right? It was not reasonable. I kicked her off the bed. We were both about to start middle school. Boys and girls need boundaries. Do not even think about it. Even though Ruan Yaoxi looked up at me pitifully and said she was just feeling lonely, I gave a cold little laugh and dragged her back to her own room. When I opened the door, the room was decorated in a very girly style. Only the dolls on her bed looked out of place. There were all kinds of superheroes, mythical characters, Doraemon, and cardcaptor Sakura. I pointed at the 7 Calabash brothers. I just bought you this one. If you are still scared, I will have Mom sleep with you. Ruan Yaoxi silently looked at the dolls on her bed. She had been to her good friend Liu Qi's house before. Liu Qi had Barbie dolls and all kinds of cute stuffed animals, but that was okay. Her dolls were cute too. Jiang Zhe had bought every one of them for her. Ruan Yaoxi knew she had no chance tonight. She gave a disappointed little oh. All right, I understand. Good night, brother. As she spoke, she gave me a sweet smile. It is fine. Once brother is asleep, I can sneak over on my own. I just need to return before he wakes up tomorrow. After all, once Jiang Zhe was asleep, not even an earthquake could wake him. He was practically comatose. A little after 1 in the morning, the bedroom door gently opened. After Ruan Yaoxi came in, she stood beside the bed and watched me for a while, before quietly climbing into bed. The moment she lay down beside me, I instinctively reached out and wrapped my arms around her thin, fragile body. Ruan Yaoxi smiled silently. Her gaze was gentle. In her heart, she whispered, "Good night, brother." I knew nothing about any of it. I only knew there was something strange about my body. Whenever I slept like the dead. When I was 10, an earthquake struck in the middle of the night. The beds throughout the house shook. Everyone in the family woke up. Only I kept snoring away. Dad even thought something was wrong with me. He found time to take me to the hospital for a checkup. It turned out there was nothing wrong. I was just a simple-minded kid who slept soundly. Every morning before dawn, Ruan Yaoxi waited until I was asleep, then quietly snuck over. At 5 in the morning, she would sneak back to her own room. Mom got up at 5:30 to make breakfast. This went on for more than a year. No one in the family ever noticed. Then we started middle school. Ruan Yaoxi and I were still in the same class. Qihan and Zhou Wangshuan were in our class too. All 4 of us were happy to see familiar faces when school began. Of course, Ruan Yaoxi only looked happy on the surface. Deep down, she was not happy at all. Compared with them, she preferred Jiang Zhe. He was the only one in her eyes. And this way, she had no reason to keep sitting beside me in class. At the new school, few people knew about Ruan Yaoxi's family situation. Everyone only knew that Ruan Yaoxi called Jiang Zhe her big brother, and that they lived together. So many people assumed they were relatives. I suddenly gained a lot of little brothers. They would call me brother the moment they opened their mouths. Most wanted to get on my good side, so they could ask about Ruan Yaoxi. For that, I beat up every single one of them. I had worked so hard to raise her. No one was allowed to set their sights on her. By the time we reached 8th grade, everyone knew Jiang from class 3 was a quiet, withdrawn guy. And, as it happened, Ruan Yaoxi was a fierce girl too. They really were cut from the same cloth. Birds of a feather flocked together. In 9th grade, a boy ran up and challenged me to a game. If I lost, I would have to deliver his love letter to Ruan Yaoxi. At first, I ignored them, but then they blocked my way and would not let me leave. Zhou Yuan spoke with obvious disdain. But what Ruan Yaoxi focused on was this. Oh, her big brother, Jiang Zhe, was being hassled. With a smack, Ruan Yaoxi stood up. Let's go take a look. Seeing she was finally going out, Zhou Yuan's eyes lit up. She loved watching drama unfold. On the way there, Ruan Yaoxi passed the school store and casually bought an ice drink. Jiang Zhe would be sweating after playing basketball. He would definitely want a drink. When they reached the basketball courts, nearly every court was occupied. One court had an especially large crowd around it. Zhou Yuan pointed to the busiest court. That one. You know, Jiang Zhe and Shihan are pretty popular. The comment was pure gossip. While curiously watching the court, so naturally she missed Ruan Yaoxi's expression darkening. By then, Ruan Yaoxi had realized that her possessiveness toward her brother was not normal. She hated hearing how popular he was. She hated seeing boys and girls gathered around him. My expression was cold by then. My arm was still numb from being rammed. Those guys calling themselves upperclassmen played seriously dirty. I really had not wanted to play. I had only stepped out because I was sick of doing practice papers. I was also going to buy Ruan Yaoxi some snacks. Instead, they stopped me. Even then, I had not planned to bother with them. But then, one of them said, if I would not play, he would block Ruan Yaoxi after school. That ticked me off. As far as I was concerned, they were obstacles keeping Ruan Yaoxi from growing up and flourishing like the young flower she was. But these guys played dirty? They had no intention of playing fair. Li Ziwen, their leader, asked smugly, can you still play? Freshman, if not, you will have to deliver this letter from me. As he spoke, he pulled a crumpled piece of paper from his pocket. A boy beside him snickered. Next time we see her, should we call Ruan Yaoxi our future sister-in-law? The boys all started laughing. My face turned icy. I slammed the ball in front of them. I put some force into it. Bang! It did not hit anyone, but it stopped their laughter. I stared them down. Keep going. You are getting cocky over a 3-point lead. Do not forget there is still another half to play. When Ruan Yaoxi and Zhou Yuan approached, the second half had just begun. Li Ziwen charged into me again, just like before. This time, I was ready and did not dodge. The instant he came at me, I drove my elbow hard into his abdomen. Li Ziwen cried out in pain. Damn it, you cheap shot at me. I slightly lifted my chin. I looked at Li Ziwen coldly. Who is the sore loser now? Are you the only ones allowed to foul? If you can play, then follow the rules. If you cannot handle it, do not play. Damn it, apologize to me. Li Ziwen and his group often bullied others by relying on their size and family connections. Naturally, they would not take this lying down. They reached out to grab me. Just then, a basketball came flying in from the side. It struck Li Ziwen squarely on the shoulder. With a curse and a thud, the basketball slammed against the ground. Li Ziwen clutched his shoulder and staggered back. A girl in a school uniform appeared, strolling over with a bottle of water in hand. Her expression was cool as she came to my side. Nearly every boy on the court turned to look at her, but Ruan Yaoxi seemed not to notice. She simply handed me the ice drink. Seeing that I was sweating, she frowned slightly and took out a tissue from me. I took it naturally. Why are you here? Unlike her usual distant manner, when she spoke to me, her voice was soft. I came to see you. Why have you not come back to finish your practice papers? Li Ziwen's face had been full of anger, but he blushed a little when he saw Ruan Yaoxi. Hearing her soft voice, his eyes lit up even more. He had thought she was pretty before, but she was even prettier up close. The way she looked so gently at Jiang Zhe irritated him, though. Li Ziwen gave a light cough. Putting on a cocky act, he said, Ruan Yaoxi, you threw that basketball, did you not? Are you not going to apologize to me? As he spoke, he deliberately leaned closer. How about you come see a movie with me? Then we can let this go. Otherwise, he deliberately paused. then gave a smug snort. I was speechless beside them. This Li Ziwen was seriously sleazy. I raised the iced drink Ruan Yaoxi had just given me and pressed it against Li Ziwen's big face as he leaned in. I said sincerely, "Bro, did you have garlic and chive turnovers for dinner? That smell. And you have chives stuck between your teeth." The onlookers could not hold it in anymore. They burst into laughter. Even Ruan Yaoxi covered her nose and mouth and let out a small smile. Then she tugged the hem of my shirt. "Let's go back. If you do not do your homework, you will get scolded again tonight." Thinking of how Mom always had me completely under her thumb, she could only shake her head. I really was a brat. The kind Ruan Yaoxi could never help. I kind of deserved it. Hearing the laughter around him, Li Ziwen's face naturally darkened, especially when Ruan Yaoxi ignored him the entire time and only spoke to me. By then, he was furious and humiliated. He reached for Ruan Yaoxi. "You hit me and think you can just leave. You do not get off that easy." But I remained perfectly calm. "Are you kidding?" She had trained in Sanda for 3 years. Sure enough, Ruan Yaoxi pulled out a pen from somewhere and smacked Li Ziwen's outstretched hand. Smack! He yelped in pain. Just then, Wang Xuan arrived with the discipline director. "Teacher, they are blocking students from our class from going back. Li Ziwen even tried to grab our Yaoxi just now. You saw it too." Ruan Yaoxi had excellent grades. She had ranked first in their year ever since enrolling. Besides, both kids were part of Teacher Zhu's family. Director Zhu had always thought highly of her. Li Ziwen, on the other hand, had poor grades and had often gotten into fights before. Director Zhu had already taken a side. "Li Ziwen, are you bullying students again? Come to my office." After that, Li Ziwen was taken away. I glanced at Ruan Yaoxi, her brows drawn and eyes downcast, lost in whatever she was thinking. "You even know to call a teacher now. You are improving." I took the pen from her hand and casually tossed it into a trash can as we passed. In an unhurried tone, I said, "It might have picked up the smell of chives and garlic. Do not use it anymore." I did not throw away the drink Ruan Yaoxi had given me, though. After all, it was from Ruan Yaoxi. But Ruan Yaoxi took the drink from my hand and tossed it into the trash too. "It is dirty. I will buy you a new one." Then she really did jog off to the little store. Wang Xuan called out, but could not stop her. Behind us, one of the boys who had been playing ball muttered enviously, "Brother Zhang, why is your little sister so well behaved?" Only Chi Han beside him gave a dry laugh. Ever since Ruan Yaoxi had hit him with a brick in elementary school, he had always found Ruan Yaoxi terrifying. Sure, he had been a real jerk back then, but the way Ruan Yaoxi looked then, it was like she wanted to kill him. Even now, Chi Han broke out in a cold sweat remembering it. When Wang Xuan heard Chi Han's dry laugh, she turned and glared at him. "What are you laughing at? Who would not want a little sister like Yaoxi?" Chi Han scoffed from the side. "Give it a rest. You used to bully her yourself. I was at your back then, okay?" The two started bickering again. I was used to it by now. It was strange, really. Maybe I had been reborn for so long, but I seemed to be slowly adapting to this age. Growing up all over again felt pretty good. I was not as mature or impressive as other reborn people, but I watched Ruan Yaoxi run toward me with the water. The wind had tousled her hair. The backlit girl running toward me was beautiful. Well, I had still done something pretty remarkable. I had brought this little girl, who had suffered so much, out of that life. Thinking about it that way, I was content. Ruan Yaoxi handed me the water. I took it, unscrewed the cap, and put it back in her hand. "Drink." "Why did you run so fast?" A boy nearby deliberately whined. "Little sister, why did you not bring us a bottle too?" I laughed and cursed at him. "Who are you calling little sister?" Then I gave each of them a kick. Wang Xuan linked arms with Ruan Yaoxi again. All she wanted was to cuddle up to the pretty girl every day. Ruan Yaoxi pulled away with mild disgust. Wang Xuan's hand had already touched the water Jiang Zhe had opened for her. "Yaoxi, you really are obsessed with your brother." Wang Xuan sighed. Ruan Yaoxi's gaze had been following me all along, never shifting away. Hearing her comment, she merely hummed in response. Without denying it, she really was. No, not brother obsessed. She was obsessed with Jiang Zhe. I had been pinning down a boy and beating him up, when I suddenly felt something. I turned to look behind me. Sure enough, Ruan Yaoxi was staring at me. "What are you looking at? Get over here. Class is about to start." The words had barely left my mouth when the class bell rang. The boys who had been fooling around rushed off, wailing dramatically. "Math class is next. Run." It is Teacher Su's class. I ran a few steps with them, then turned back. Ruan Yaoxi. Hurry up. Teacher Su will scold me if we are late. Teacher Su was Mom. She was not our homeroom teacher, but she taught one of our subjects. I had it all planned out. I would get into first high school with Ruan Yaoxi, then take the chance to tell my family that I wanted to study art. I had loved my job in my previous life, and I had no intention of giving it up in this life. And I thought of how Ruan Yaoxi practically never wore shorts. I also remembered the scars covering her body in my previous life, layer upon layer. She had such a beautiful face, yet her body was covered in vicious scars. If she was willing, I wanted to help her cover those scars. And in this life, Ruan Yaoxi did not have many scars on her body. I could buy her some scar removal cream. What young girl does not want to be beautiful? I really must have had terrible luck. I should not have thought about Ruan Yaoxi's wounds, or inevitably thought of Ruan Dacian. Just 2 days later, I really saw the man who was originally supposed to still be in prison. He had been sentenced to 7 years, but only a little over 5 had passed. How was he already out? The man was tall and big-framed, and looked very thin. He also looked somewhat aged. His eyes were full of calculation and malice. He just stood there, until the security guard approached him warily, and said something to him. The man turned to leave, but, as he turned, he seemed to sense something, and glanced my way. Instinctively, I turned my back to him. I did not know why Ruan Dacian had come here. I only knew I could not let him spot me. Ruan Yaoxi and I were about to start 9th grade, and Ruan Dacian got out at a time like this. What would happen to Ruan Yaoxi? How did he know about this place? He had come looking for Ruan Yaoxi. After a long while, I finally dared to turn around. Ruan Dacian was already gone. I was in no mood for anything now. I turned and headed back. When I entered the house, the first place I looked was toward Ruan Yaoxi's room. Her door was closed. Mom looked surprised from the kitchen. You're back. Normally, if she sent this brat out to buy something, he would not return without wasting an hour. Seeing that I had come back empty-handed, she frowned, about to say something, but saw me raise a hand and quietly shush her. Mom swallowed the scolding she was about to give me, and looked at me in confusion. My expression made Mom nervous. What's wrong, son? I lowered my voice. Just now, I saw Ruan Dacian outside. The moment I said that, Mom's face changed. She frowned, and looked at me seriously. Are you sure? I could not be mistaken. He was standing right at the entrance to our complex. I could not keep the irritation from my voice. Mom, ask the women from our old neighborhood. Mom had already pulled out her phone. She got an answer quickly. She looked up at me, her voice trembling. He had behaved well, so he was released early. But that was not the important part. The important part was that Ruan Dacian had been back for several days. At first, he really had not intended to look for Ruan Yaoxi. In his eyes, whether she was dead or had run off with someone, it did not matter. But when he went downstairs to buy alcohol that day, he overheard Feng and the others gossiping. They mentioned Ruan Yaoxi. Those people had nothing better to do. They started saying our family had gotten a huge benefit again, claiming Chen, who had paid us so much each year to raise Ruan Yaoxi. The final message the woman sent said, I saw him go to see Feng this morning. Teacher Su, you need to be careful. Feng cannot keep her mouth shut. Now I knew how Ruan Dacian had found us. Others probably would not want anything to do with Ruan Dacian, so they might not tell him anything. But Feng was another story. Mom sighed. Clearly worried, she said, stay out of this for now. Mom, I interrupted her in a serious tone. I looked at Mom just as seriously. You know better than I do what kind of man Ruan Dacian is. If he cannot catch us at this complex, his next stop could be the school. I took a deep breath. When Ruan Yaoxi was in elementary school, he once stormed into her classroom, dragged Yaoxi out by her hair, beating her all the way. After that incident, Ruan Yaoxi began being ostracized. I cannot let that happen now. My voice was utterly serious. I do not want him to see Ruan Yaoxi either. Then, what do we do now? Mom was so thrown by my seriousness that she had not quite processed it, and asked reflexively. Then she sighed. Mom never said she would not handle it. I just have not figured out a solution yet. Go to Chen Hui. The corner of my mouth curled up. I gave a cold smile far too old for my age. Do not mention Ruan Yaoxi. Just ask her. Once Ruan Dacian learns we have no money, who does she think he will go after next? She is more afraid of Ruan Dacian than we are. Mom stared blankly at the familiar features before her. but whose temperament felt completely different. Xiaozhi, seeing the hesitation in Mom's eyes, I immediately put on a pitiful smile. Mom, do you think what I just said could work? That is how the novels I read always do it. Sure enough, Mom immediately frowned. Jiang Zhe, have you been using your phone to read those novels recommended by that author, Haoshen Schumann, again? I groaned, then turned and ran. Handsome guys and pretty girls all love them. What's wrong with me reading them? Just wait until I smack you. At the time, I had no idea Chen Hui was such an idiot. I did not know what my parents said to Chen Hui, but afterward, I never saw him lurking around the entrance to our complex again, nor did he go to the school. Ruan Yaoxi noticed how distracted I had been lately. She could tell something was off with me. Basically, wherever she went, as long as she was alone, I would follow her, no matter what I was doing. It was as if I was terrified of leaving her alone. It was far too strange. Ruan Yaoxi put down her pen. Brother. But I did not respond. She looked at my math homework. I had not done a single problem. She sighed and placed her hand over mine. Only then did I snap out of it. I looked at her hand resting on mine, then awkwardly pulled my hand away. What is it? I should be asking you that. What is wrong with you? You've been spacing out all this time. I looked at her. The girl had been well cared for. Her delicate little face was rosy, and her lovely features had fully blossomed. If a girl this beautiful were caught by Ruan Yaoxi, I did not even dare imagine it. Ruan Yaoxi was not even fit to be called human. But after all this time, why had Chen Hui still not transferred Ruan Yaoxi's household registration? I frowned. Your household registration booklet. You have always kept it with you, right? Ruan Yaoxi froze for a moment, then nodded. I do. We need it for enrollment, do we not? If you were asked to transfer your registration, to be registered under the same household as your mother, would you agree? I asked, looking at Ruan Yaoxi. For some reason, I always felt that compared with her feelings toward Ruan Yaoxi, Ruan Yaoxi's attitude toward Chen Hui was strange. Her hatred for Ruan Yaoxi was direct, the kind that made her want to kill him. She hated Chen Hui too, but it seemed to be more than hatred. Ruan Yaoxi fell silent for a moment. A smile touched the corner of her lips, but it was cold. I do not mind. Hasn't she always refused to transfer it? Why are you asking? A strange thought crossed her mind. Brother would never have brought this up before. What was going on today? Something must have happened. I felt a little frustrated. I had never been good at keeping things to myself. I could not keep secrets from the people close to me at all. The secret I guarded most closely was probably that I had been reborn. If nothing unexpected happened, I would keep it hidden for life. After all, I did not want anyone to know that I had died suddenly during sex in my previous life. That was far too embarrassing. I gave a non-committal no. I just thought the sooner it was transferred, the sooner we could rest easy. Otherwise, it would be trouble once Ruan Yaoxi got out. My manner was perfectly natural, which made the suspicious girl think she had simply overthought things. Until the exams were over, Ruan Yaoxi never appeared again. I even began to wonder whether I had really been mistaken. Gradually, I let my guard down. Mom also said that Chen Hui had promised to handle it. Then something else took over my attention. Here is the thing. Boys start developing at a certain age. There are normal physical changes, such as wet dreams. The first one came rather suddenly. That night, I was half asleep and kept feeling as if someone was lying beside me. When I woke up the next morning, I thought it had only been a dream. As I washed my pants, I wondered what kind of dream that had been. I was such a creep, because the person I felt lying beside me seemed a little like Ruan Yaoxi. What kind of beast did that make me? Back then, I never imagined it was not a dream. She had really been lying beside me. For a while after that, I felt awkward around Ruan Yaoxi. After all, I thought I had dreamed about her, and it was that kind of dream. That was why Ruan Yaoxi had been in such a foul mood lately, because of how I had been treating her. Brother Zhang, have you and our little sister had a falling out lately? Liu Zi asked curiously. I was drinking water. At that, I coughed several times, nearly choking. Cough, cough, cough. No, we did not have a fight. Why would you ask that? Liu Zi said bluntly. You have not been taking her along lately, and you will not even let her follow you. Hey, our little sister's eyes have been all watery. It is heartbreaking. Chihan, beside us, rarely spoke up. We are not the only ones who think so. The girls in class have been asking about it too. I was speechless. Maybe I should tell Mom. They clearly do not have enough homework. I stood up. That is enough. What falling out? And is Ruan Yaoxi really that pitiful? Still, I felt a little guilty. After class that evening, the two of us still went home together. Ruan Yaoxi followed silently behind me. The bus was quite crowded that night. More than usual. We could not avoid standing close together, our bodies brushing against each other. And Ruan Yaoxi clearly noticed that I was deliberately avoiding her. It inevitably reminded her of what Liu Qi had said over lunch. What if Jiang Zhe starts dating someone someday? Yaoxi, you would be so heartbroken. So, look beyond him and give other boys a chance. Was Jiang Zhe dating someone? Was that why he was keeping his distance from me? At the thought, anger and a desperate need to control him spread through Ruan Yaoxi's heart. She lowered her head. There was even a hint of madness in her eyes. I should have known it. There are always people trying to take brother away from me. No, brother is mine. Seeing her walk with her head down, swaying unsteadily, I could not help sighing. I reached over and placed her hand on my wrist. Hold on. Ruan Yaoxi froze. By reflex, she tightly gripped my wrist. Her grip was strong, making me frown. Worried, I asked, "What is wrong? Why do you keep looking down? Are you feeling unwell?" Ruan Yaoxi merely shook her head gently, still keeping her head down. "It is nothing." She was afraid that if she looked up, I would see the madness in her eyes. She was afraid I would be scared. As she grew older, Ruan Yaoxi became increasingly aware that she was different from other girls. Unlike them, she did not adore music groups or idols, or enjoy shows, songs, and talking about all kinds of things. She found none of it as interesting as simply staring at Jiang Zhe in a daze. She was wildly jealous of everyone around me. She had even reached the point where she felt Aunt Sue's closeness with brother was painful to watch. But Ruan Yaoxi hid her feelings, trying hard to act like a normal person. Only then would I be willing to remain her brother. I thought Ruan Yaoxi was acting strange. She still tugged on my clothes as we walked home, just like before. But she was especially quiet that night. That made me feel guilty. Had my distance from her lately been too obvious? Ruan Yaoxi had always been sensitive. I watched her bedroom door close, then clicked my tongue irritably. I never thought that at my age, I would still have teenage troubles. Maybe because I had so much on my mind. Even I, who usually slept well, could not sleep that night. I tossed and turned all night, unable to fall asleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Ruan Yaoxi, afraid to come near me. Her head lowered, too scared to meet my eyes. I felt defeated. I cursed myself under my breath. Jiang Zhe, you really are such an idiot. You are the one who feels guilty. Yet you are the one making that little girl sad. Too afraid to come near you. I decided I would apologize tomorrow. It was almost 1 o'clock before I finally drifted off, but I did not sleep deeply. Whenever I heard a sound by the door, I woke up at once. At first, I assumed mom or dad was checking on me, but as the footsteps drew closer, I could tell something was wrong. I knew everyone's footsteps in this house, especially mom and dad's. Back then, to avoid getting punished, I had become quite the expert. The footsteps approaching my bed were very light. They belonged to Ruan Yaoxi. But, in the middle of the night, why was she standing beside my bed instead of sleeping? My heart began racing with fear. I could not help recalling the terror from my past life. In the dead of night, if someone stands silently beside your bed, would you not be scared? I did not dare open my eyes. And thank goodness I did not, because Ruan Yaoxi was standing there with a cold expression, holding to neckties. Her gaze swept over my exposed wrist. I really want to tie him up. Then I could keep him locked in this room, right? No, that would not work. Aunt Sue is here, and so is Uncle Zhang. Disappointment flashed through Ruan Yaoxi's eyes. Just as I could not take it anymore and was about to open my eyes, I suddenly sensed the person beside my bed move. Wait, no. Why was she climbing into my bed? I could not help thinking of that figure in my dream. What if it had not been a dream at all? What if she had really been lying in my bed? Though I still had not opened my eyes, I could sense how practiced she was. As she lay down beside me, we were very close. She lay there only briefly, then suddenly sat up. Then I felt my wrist, and another, cooler, more delicate wrist, being tied together with something. Satisfied, Ruan Yaoxi held my hand and lay down beside me again. She whispered, "Brother, good night. We will be together forever." As for me, her string of actions had completely woken me up. Can anyone understand how I felt? When she tied me up, it felt like I had been thrown back into my past life. My whole body went rigid. I did not dare move. In the darkness, I slowly opened my eyes. The person beside me was breathing steadily, but I did not dare turn my head. What if this was like a horror movie? And I turned to find Ruan Yaoxi's big eyes staring at me. I might actually die on the spot. So I lay stiffly, eyes wide open, staring at the pitch-black ceiling. I thought about Ruan Yaoxi coming in just now, and everything she did to climb into my bed. She had been far too practiced. It clearly was not her first time. So, how many times had she climbed into my bed? I could not think too hard about that. If I did, I might leap out of bed the next second. Finally, when her grip on my hand loosened slightly, I slowly turned to look at the person beside me.